Hi guys, Stem Cell here. So we're gonna do a video on some of the escalating situations that's happening in Europe between Russia and NATO and Europe and the USA. Um, Tensions in Europe have reached a boiling point. Recently, uh, Russia recent actions have promoted NATO allies to issue stern warnings while a new U.S. missile defense initiative, dubbed the Golden Dome, has escalated fears for a global arms race. So, Putin, in his speech right here, he's going to talk about a treaty, and what treaty he's talking about is there's a treaty between us and Russia to not put weapons into space. And honestly, though, Russia's broken this treaty a long time ago. Same with China. They've both put weapons into space, and now they want to play dumb and, try and stop us. Another thing, too, is they're trying to get us to lower the amount of our nuclear missiles that we currently have, which is, normally it would be good, but in this situation, I think Putin is just trying to get us to divest in our nuclear arms, and while they still continue to build theirs, pretty much. Like, they want to use diplomacy to trick us into not making weapons so they can make weapons that can either attack us or have more nuclear weapons. Here's the thing a lot of people don't know about nuclear weapons is you have to put money into them every year. Every 5 years, the computer system that guides the missile, a lot of the electronics, a lot of that stuff, the plutonium goes bad, I guess, also every 5 years. So we have recently just dumped a lot of money into our nuclear missile system, and Russia, I don't even know if any of theirs works. Maybe some of the new ones, like 5 or 10 of the ones they've made recently work, but their old ones, nobody knows if they work because they haven't been maintained and they're really old. But let's go ahead and watch his video real quick, and a few videos about this situation. Come on.
Россия в состоянии ответить на любые существующие и вновь возникающие угрозы. Ответить не на словах, а путем применения военно-технических мер. Пример тому наше решение об отказе от одностороннего моратория на развертывание.
So I'll go over also what the Golden Dome is here in a minute.
Наземных ракет средней и меньшей дальности. Это был вынужденный шаг, продиктованный необходимостью адекватно реагировать на программы по размещению в Европе и Азиатско-Тихоокеанском регионе аналогичных вооружений американского и иного западного производства, что прямо угрожает безопасности России. Россия...
Okay. One other quick video I want to show you here. Look at Putin's shoulders here. So there's a lot of things on how Putin has a body double, and like he's had some people get plastic surgery to look like him. Anyways, look right there where it's circled. What is that? Like it almost looks like it's something in there to make him look taller. Because, I don't know.
Достаточно разрушительных шагов был существенно подорван фундамент конструктивных отношений и практического взаимодействия между государствами, обладающими ядерным оружием. В результате ранее предпринятых странами Запада достаточно...
Very strange, though. Okay, so in the past week, multiple Russian military aircraft have violated NATO airspace. On September 22nd, we had 3 MiG 31 jets enter Estonian airspace, prompting immediate response from NATO forces. So, these jets were armed, and Estonia is claiming that they came into their airspace. And then there's also been multiple other things. Russia's been taunting Europe. But I mean, Europe is also taunting Russia, if you ask my opinion. There was also the 19 drones that 19 drones that flew over Poland, I believe twice recently, but before that there's been like 1 or 2 instances of, their airspace being violated. But let's go ahead and take a look at what Poland is saying. This is Donald Tusk.
Wtedy, kiedy mamy decyzję o zestrzeliwaniu obiektów latających, my będziemy podejmowali bezdyskusyjnie wtedy, kiedy naruszają nasze terytorium i latają nad Polską. Tu w ogóle nie ma o czym dyskutować.
So they're saying that they will shoot down anything that comes in their airspace, which I don't know why they didn't do it in the first place. So I don't remember when this occurred, but about 10 years ago or so, a Russian jet flew into Turkey for 17 seconds. Well, in that 17 seconds, they shot that jet down, killed one of the pilots, and then took the Russian pilot hostage and put him in jail. Anyways, they eventually returned the pilot, of course, but Russia doesn't mess with Turkey's airspace. And this is what needs to happen here. They just need to have zero tolerance for it. And, if you ask me, nothing will happen.
Wtedy, kiedy mamy do czynienia z sytuacjami nie do końca jasnymi. Na przykład ostatni przelot rosyjskich myśliwców nad platformą Petrobaltiku, ale bez naruszenia, bo to nie są nasze wody terytorialne. Trzeba się 2 razy zastanowić naprawdę, zanim podejmie się decyzję o działaniach, które mogą wywołać już bardzo ostrą fazę konfliktu. I dlatego jesteśmy tu przede wszystkim w stałym porozumieniu z sojusznikami. Jesteśmy gotowi do każdej decyzji, która ma na celu unicestwienie obiektów, które mogą zagrażać nam, na przykład rosyjskich myśliwców, jeśli będą naruszały nasze na przykład będą latały nad naszymi wodami terytorialnymi, ale ja muszę mieć też 100% pewność. I państwo...
So there's kind of a few different people saying different things in Poland. There's a few people that are saying if you fly in our airspace, we will shoot you down. And what Donald Tusk is kind of saying is kind of contradictory. He said that he was a little trying to be careful of shooting down drones because he said he doesn't feel like NATO is 100% behind him. Let's see. This is at the United Nations here. Let's see what he has to say here.
I have only one request to the Russian government. If another missile or aircraft enters our space without permission, deliberately or by mistake, and gets shot down...
Did you guys see his head right there? I don't think he believes Russia.
And the wreckage falls on NATO territory, please don't come here to whine about it. You have been warned.
Okay, and see, hearing very different thing from Poland there. So Poland and the United Kingdom have vowed to confront any unauthorized Russian craft in NATO's skies. UK Foreign Secretary Yvette Copper warned that such a provocation risked a direct arms confrontation with the alliance. So, let's go ahead and talk about the Golden Dome. So let me explain something real quick about the Golden Dome. It is a system that will essentially shoot down missiles, cruise missiles, anything really shot at America. It should be able to shoot most of it down. And so I don't know if anybody knows what a MIRV warhead is, but this is a nuclear weapon that has multiple launch vehicles inside of it. So you might have one missile, but there could be 6, or sometimes I've heard of like even 10. I think it's more like 6, 5 though. The warheads in there that split off, and then they'll go down and spread out over a 25-mile area pretty much. And these types of warheads are very, very powerful, dangerous, because there's essentially 6 to 10, nuclear weapons in there. So there are already missiles. We already have kind of a current system here in the United States to shoot down missiles, but it's going to be more like a North Korea style missile attack. Like if Russia or China unleashed on us, we wouldn't be able to stop that. And even even with the Golden Dome, we probably wouldn't be able to stop all that. Hopefully they make it that good, but it's still kind of unknown. But so the missiles, they launch off, the interceptor missiles, they launch off, and they go at Mach 33 because they have to intercept these missiles. They have to catch up. And so what they're talking about doing when it's in, I believe, the terminal phase, which is where it's in space, they can have these interceptor missiles kind of have a similar thing to the MIRV warhead that I was speaking about earlier. But in other words, what they would do is on some of these interceptors, they would put multiple kill vehicles, so they could literally go up there, shoot one missile, and take out 10 nuclear weapons or whatever it might be. Also with, obviously, there's going to be satellites up there with weapons on them ready to shoot out. So the ridiculous kind of part of Russia complaining about the Golden Dome is they would put these satellites in a geosynchronous orbit around the United States, which pretty much means they're going to speed that satellite up to go as fast as the Earth is spinning. And so literally they park a satellite right over the United States. So it's in over our skies, over our airspace. So, why can Russia tell us what we can do in our own airspace, especially when they've already sent... So I think there's a lot of classified things, but I've just heard that Russia and China have been really sending up space weapons, and this is literally why we need the Golden Dome, or part of it. But like, I know one instance I heard about with Russia is they have a satellite that will go up and attack another satellite, has an arm on it, or it shoots something out at another satellite and goes and either throws it back down into orbit or hacks the satellite, ruins the solar panels. It's not hard to destroy in a satellite, pretty much. You might ask, well, why doesn't Russia or China just shoot it out with a missile? That's like, anybody can do that. The problem with doing that is when you shoot a satellite in space, it causes a ton of wreckage. And literally, if like somebody shot like 10 satellites out of space, literally that would make it so nobody on the planet could go to outer space for a few hundred years, pretty much, because there's just too much wreckage. It's going too fast. In fact, the international China destroyed one of their own satellites. I can't remember how long ago, but we still have to move the International Space Station because of that wreckage going around the planet. So, but anyways, here's a video I found of the Golden Dome. It's not that.
This is building the biggest defense shield on Earth, and it worries the world. It's called the Golden Dome, and it's not designed to protect just one city, but to shield the entire country. Here's how it works. First, the US will launch high-tech satellites into orbit that would scan the skies 24/7 for any sign of a missile launch. And if an enemy...
We already have some of those. I don't know if that includes more, but there's NASA satellites that can see any fire on the Earth's surface.
missile is fired, these satellites would detect it almost instantly during the boost phase. Then artificial intelligence would kick in, calculating its path in real time. And if that missile is heading toward the US, ground and sea-based interceptors would launch instantly, aiming to destroy it midair before it ever gets close. For this, the Pentagon has already invested $25 billion, with the full system expected to cost over $175 billion. And if it actually works, it could let the US strike first and still stay protected. That's what terrifies countries like Russia and because this isn't just defense, it's a whole new kind of power.
This is absolutely true, guys. If this does what they say it's gonna do, this will be an absolute game changer, because we have to essentially avoid war with Russia or China because they have nuclear weapons, and we kind of have to tippy-toe around them because of this. It's just one of those things where if it really works, we might just go and attack Russia, because I really don't think they've put the money into their nuclear system. And imagine if we could just get rid of all that punishment and see how much land Russia is. Oh my gosh, like most of the planet lives on this little tiny thing, and then you have the least amount of people that are living up in Russia. So, but anyways, it would be a game changer for like Iran and all those places. So I really hope it does what it say it does. But anyways, Russia has condemned the project, suggesting it could reignite a new arms race and undermine global strategic strategy. That's already happened, guys, especially with China. I don't know why Russia has waited so long to actually, talk about this. Okay, so here's another thing. A lot of these left-wing governments, they are in NATO. You got France, the UK, I think Romania. Yeah, I'm pretty positive about Romania. Germany, right? All these guys, they've certainly... Let me see. They have been escalating with Russia. And then when stuff starts to get real, all of a sudden they're like, NATO! Like they want us to kind of come fight their battles, but they don't want to spend any of their freaking money on defense. It's a little bit frustrating. Hold on, let's watch
We need our NATO allies to quit buying Russian oil, and I've had some very strong conversations, and we'll continue those.
So that's another part of it, is they could have stopped this years ago. I know it would have hurt their economy, but I feel like it has been long enough. Stop buying Russian oil. And then they want us to financially put sanctions on all these countries, but they won't even match it. They won't even sanction China. So the European Union is also frustrating. It's such a bureaucracy. It really needs its own Doge. But let's let them talk.
As soon as I have a chance to sit down with our allies, President said that we can't be 100% strong and unified if we have NATO allies that are buying Russian oil. And we need to work to transition them off Russian oil. I was in Poland last week, and Poland no longer buys any Russian oil. They have completely gone off of that. And we need all NATO allies to do.
And also, Poland closed their border, which was a very traveled route from China to Europe. And now China is all upset about it, but Poland says it's not worth our security for the money. And I 1,000% agree. I mean, Poland's amazing. I love Poland. They're just like a little Texas.
That because we need the price of oil to be low. We need to quit funding Russia's war machine. And I think those circumstances will what's ultimately.
That's the real question. They want us to sanction India, ruin our relationship there. They want us to sanction China and ruin our relationship there. But they're not even willing to stop buying the oil. In fact, I've heard in Italy, they just take the Russian boats out into international waters, transfer it to another boat from a different company, and then go over there and sell it. So there's a lot of that garbage going on, and it's because it's cheap oil. And really, like, it's frustrating. And there are more things we could do, but when they won't even stop buying Russian gas and oil, like, why do we have to go fight their war with the weapons they never bought? And they it's been a long time since NATO funded anything. And President Trump,
we're going to create what's necessary for peace in that war in Ukraine.
Okay.
We need our NATO allies.
I don't want to spoil it. I believe it's right. Yes. So President Trump says no Article 4, no Article 5, no money, no troops. Romania and Poland pledge their air force to Ukraine. Brussels cheer. I mean, they want Russia attacked pretty much, but they want to use NATO. And so I kind of feel like, when you say you're going to make Ukraine a no-fly zone, you're entering the war whether you like it or not. And so you might as well go full in. But these guys don't want to do it by themselves, so I really feel like maybe they are trying to bring everybody in somehow. So, and maybe that's wrong. It could be wrong. And maybe it's the wrong call. But, I mean, Europe needs to kind of grow up a little bit, and this is some tough love. And, I ask you, if some U.S. assets weren't pulled out of Europe, would they be pledging that $1 trillion or whatever it is now? And also, there's been pledges in the past, so either pay up or shut up. And also, they need to build their defense industries by themselves instead of just buying from us. Like, I love that they buy from us, but you can't buy everything. They need to develop some stuff themselves and make themselves stronger, because they're more of a liability sometimes than an asset, especially where we need to protect their interests as well. So it's not an even alliance, it's really not. So I think we should keep the alliance, but you gotta have some way to hold people accountable. You got to. Like, kick them out of NATO if they don't pay their defense bills. Anyways, this guy had a different perspective than I've heard everyone else say. So, and it definitely not on the news or anything. So let's hear what he's got to say.
So Russian fighter jets just violated European airspace over Estonia. Well, that's a headline anyway. Guess what came next? cries for NATO to act, talk of invoking Article 4 and no-fly zone over Ukraine. Do you know what that means? Well, the second one aircraft crosses into Ukrainian skies, NATO's at war. And guess what, Europe? NATO at war means Europe at war. Are you prepared for that? You're not. We all know it, and you know it. Here's the point, though. Independent tracking intelligence reports and Russian sources, they all say the same thing. Guess what? Those jets never touched Estonian airspace. It's just another lie, just like the Russian drones in Poland. So who's pushing these lies anyway? You guessed it, the power-hungry Muppets in Brussels, von der Leyen and her cronies. But here's the bigger problem. Romania and Poland, 2 NATO members, have just pledged to join Ukraine's air war with their forces. Think about that for a second. NATO countries flying combat missions for a nation that isn't in NATO, and it's not an EU either, by the way. This is a provocation Brussels has been pushing for, and it looks like they finally got it. And now comes the breaking news. President Trump has made it clear, no matter what happens, America will not fight Europe's war. No Article 4, no Article 5, no troops, no money, no support. So NATO, if it goes to war, it goes without the United States. And there you have it, Europe. You're on your own like you want it. Now, let me get personal here for a second. I was at war. I fought. I believed we were the good guys, that we were stopping evil and bringing liberation. I followed orders. I wanted to win. I wanted to destroy whatever I was told to destroy. But little by little, I woke up. I saw what happened afterwards. The countries we liberated were often worse off. The record of the last 50 years is brutal. Afghanistan, Iraq, just to name a few in a long list of ruined places. I was cannon fodder. I did my duty honorably. But I also learned to see the truth. We were used. So, this is not theoretical. Just ask the Balkans. They know it well. Ask them what it's like when the neighbor you once had coffee with becomes the man you're shooting at. Families torn apart overnight. I've stood with Croatian veterans. I've worked with them, and I've seen the scars that never heal. So trust me, you do not want this war. War in Europe doesn't just flatten cities. It destroys your future, the place you call home and your family. So now, more than ever, stand up, push back, say no to Brussels. We don't need chest-puffing politicians or paper generals. We need real leaders willing to stand tall whether they're liked or not. Like Viktor Orban from Hungary. Like him or not, he is a leader who chooses country over conformity.
So I kind of disagree with him on Hungary because I'm vastly we need to do something about Russia, and I don't think we should abandon Europe, but I think we should I think what President Trump right now is doing is scaring the Europeans enough that maybe they'll stand up on their own and build their own armies. And because we need, we're spread thin across the planet right now. We've got China, we've got Venezuela, the Middle East. We're all over the place, and we can't handle everything. And this has been a problem for a while, but the Europeans don't want to fund anything. And of course they want to get rid of Russia, but are we asking Europe to pay for a war and bring their people over to go to a war with Venezuela? No, of course not. Russia, Europe's GDP dwarfs Russia. If they really invested, it would be no problem to go handle Russia and its problem. And honestly, Trump says this, but I think this is something to kind of make them grow up, because the future's looking fairly bleak, honestly. And if if Europe handles Russia, we could handle China, but we can't do both. We're split between both of them, and I feel like a lot of these left governments, they pledge all this stuff and they say all these things, but everything they've given Ukraine's been a loan. And everything we've given Ukraine up to this last January, it was for free, and we gave them a lot. And I kind of agree with Trump. We maybe gave them too much, and now they kind of expect it. And I mean, I think we should always help them. But I really feel like the problem was with Biden is he took forever to give it to them. If he would have just gave it to them all at once, I don't even think that we would be here. I think this war would be over. And so I don't say don't arm the Ukrainians, but you know, we've been dragged into this crazy situation from the administration from before. And I mean, I think I disagree. I think this war would have happened either way. I think Putin would have always tried this. You know, that he wants the Soviet Union back, of course. So, anyways, I feel like there's all these left governments like the UK, France, Germany, Romania, and they'll you know, talk tough until Russia starts threatening them, and then they all de-escalate. And I want to show you a few stories. So France has... Oh, yeah. Not that one yet. Sorry. So this it was really quite interesting here. Come on, don't do this to me. Sorry, guys. Don't you come. Yada yada yada.
Prepare for a potential armed conflict by next year, with the government urging health providers to be ready. According to French media, in a leaked letter sent to health agencies across the country, the government says hospitals should be prepared for a major military engagement as soon as March 2026. It said that between 10,000 and 50,000 men could be expected in French hospitals over a 6-month period, which could include foreign soldiers who are coordinated with NATO and the EU. They are planning medical transit centres to make use of regional facilities and to distribute patients arriving from potential front lines. According to the reports, doctors are also being warned to prepare for shortages. The French health minister hasn't denied the letter and stressed it was a precautionary measure, but that aggression from some actors means the country needs to prepare for the worst.
So, this is kind of what I mean by these paper tiger countries. Like, here in America, yes, you prepare your hospitals, but that's not what you announce. You announce you're preparing tanks. You want to not react, but you want to act. And I kind of feel like this is just a bunch of virtue signaling from the UK, France, Germany, and Romania. But
The
okay,
stake,
let's
as
see what
President Trump has
Macron says.
suggested.
Very clearly, Russia is a destabilizing and aggressive power in Europe. They increased during the past few weeks their attacks against Kiev and killing a lot of civilians. They destroyed official buildings of the Ukrainian government, but as well premises of the UK government, of the European Union. And at the same time, during the same weeks, they violated the Polish and the Romanian air.
Mm-hmm.
There is no mistake. There is just a project which is to destroy the maximum territories of Ukraine, to have a victory in Ukraine, and just to highlight what they want, the weakness of NATO.
NATO says they're still investigating. They're not as certain as you seem to be that Russia did this
I'm not
intentionally.
saying. I just say this is not Totally. This is not a specific point. If we had a situation where they were declining or decreasing their attacks against Kiev and on the battlefield, I could accept this argument. My point is to say it's largely beyond that. My point is to say, look at what they did during the past few weeks. So I sincerely believe that your president was committed.
It's not something you normally say to a country, like, oh, we're going to prepare for 100,000 casualties a month. It's just a precaution. No, it's not, guys. And I don't feel like they know something we don't. I feel more like it's something like they're planning on escalating it somehow. Somehow. So, here we go. Here's kind of a little bit more on what I'm trying to say. I call to demilitarize state of Palestine, in which Hamas plays no part. Cool. So who's going to enforce that, France? And that's kind of my point. Virtue signaling. That's what these people are doing. But who's going to do the dirty work again, France? Didn't you bankrupt your country twice? Oh, so you're going to fight a war, huh? Yeah, okay. Right. So France has officially recognized Palestine's statehood, joining countries like the UK, Canada. President Emmanuel Macron called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, warning that a continued conflict risk undermine the long-standing of the regional peace accords. This is virtue signaling, because it's really easy to say, yes, you're a state. Now go ahead and do that now, okay? We'll see you later. It doesn't mean crap. Just like the rest of their statements is kind of what I'm getting at. But, so let's kind of see what the UK had to say on those 3 MiG jets that entered in Lithuania's airspace. Oh. Sorry.
Romanian territory. And now, 3, Russia's recklessness is escalating. In the last 2 weeks alone, over 20 Russian drones in Polish airspace. A drone through Romanian territory. And now, 3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets, with their transponders turned off, violating Estonian airspace for 12 minutes. At best, these latest acts are dangerous and reckless. At worst, they are a deliberate attempt to undermine the
I misspoke. Estonia.
Territorial integrity of sovereign nations and European security. They risk miscalculation. They open the door to direct armed confrontation between NATO and Russia. NATO's combined strength is unparalleled, and its determination to defend peace and security in Europe is unshakable. Of this, Russia must be in no doubt. And I commend the resolute and firm response of Estonia, Poland and Romania and all NATO allies. I welcome the launch of Eastern Sentry on 12th of September to ensure the safety and security of the alliance's eastern border, and I'm proud that UK aircraft are taking part. And to
Here's the thing. It would be one thing if the drones were armed and were attacking Poland, or if these MiG jets went in and started launching missiles into Estonia. But, like, NATO is a defensive force. So, like, yes, these are not things that we like happening, but nobody that I'm aware of has died. And there is a war in Europe, and it does spill over from time to time. So, like, I don't know if you'll notice, all these guys say NATO this, NATO that, but that's not what NATO is. Like I said, it's a defensive treaty and a defensive alliance. Somebody has to be attacked to invoke Article 5. So, let's go to Germany. Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz has warned that Europeans should prepare for a prolonged war in Ukraine, citing Russian reluctance to engage in negotiations. Okay, Germany. I thought this was highly interesting what I found right here. This is Holland, Germany. And, come on. Those are strikers or armored personnel carriers. I'm not sure what these are. I think they're just a general transport. I can't tell if there's anything on top of them. Those are a little different. Those are armored like Humvees. So it's getting a little interesting, and also Russia has also been bringing in tons of missiles and weapons by rail into Belarus. And also their forces are leaving Belarus, so it's kind of confusing. But this is happening at the same time that Russia is threatening Europe and the US. So, this is my last video here. This is Germany now saying that they need to prepare for 100,000 casualties a month in their hospital system.
Und dafür werden eben auch in den Lagern entsprechende Vorkehrungen getroffen.
Ja, jetzt geht mir als Laie davon aus, dass die Bundeswehr per se Leichensäcke auf Vorrat gebunkert hat. Eine Neubestellung implizierte, dass diese Lagerbestände nicht mehr ausreichen.
They just ordered a lot of body bags, and they're the kind that like are biological, nuclear, and I can't remember what the other thing is, but they're essentially sealed. So.
Welches Ereignis in den letzten Jahren führte denn zum Verbrauch tausender Leichensäcke? Also mir persönlich fällt jetzt außer dem Krieg in der Ukraine kein Ereignis ein, das diese Masse an verbrauchten Leichensäcken bei der Bundeswehr erklären würde. Wenn Sie da vielleicht noch für Aufklärung sorgen könnten?
Also ich bin nicht im Bein, da können Sie gerne nochmal die Pressestelle des Bein BW fragen. Ich bin aber soweit informiert, dass natürlich auch die Bestände der Streitkräfte kontinuierlich überprüft und auch angepasst werden, nicht nur an die Lageentwicklung, sondern auch zum Beispiel an den Zustand der jeweils lagernden Ware. Ich kann es nicht einschätzen, wie lange entsprechende Vorräte schon lagern, aber wir wissen auch habe auch ein bisschen Materialkunde studiert, aus zum Beispiel Kunststoffprodukten gehen auch Weichmacher raus zum Beispiel, Produkte altern. Es kann also sein, ohne dass ich vorweggreifen möchte, dass es hier auch eine reine Ergänzungsbeschaffung aufgrund von Materialalterung bestehender Vorräte betrifft. Aber da wird Ihnen das Bein BW sicherlich nochmal eine Auskunft geben können.
So, this is not a normal restocking of this. This is, they came out with this statement essentially just like France, telling their hospitals to prepare for 100,000 casualties a day. And I mean, this can This could happen at any point, but pretty sure it could happen at any point. It could happen a year from now. It could happen 2 years from now. But if I were Russia, I'd be doing it a lot sooner than later, because Europe is preparing somewhat, at least now. And the longer they let this go, the more Europe's going to prepare. And we're not ready for this. The U.S. is always ready, don't get me wrong, but Europe is not ready for this. And so the sooner the better for them, but I can almost guarantee if they attack Poland or any of these countries, they're going to attack the U.S. troops there as well. And the troops are staying there, they're not leaving, but a lot of assets have been moved out of the country. And there was also something on, we were paying $200 million to the Baltics to help beef their defenses up, but I mean, that should be Europe. Again, their GDP is almost as much as the United States, so this is their security, and I think that this is a tactic to get them to pay for their stuff. And I mean, if Europe fully funded their military, there's nothing in the world that could essentially stop NATO. There's nothing in the world. But it's honestly making us vulnerable with China growing so much, and the resources and all the production plants that China has. And Europe has become a junior partner to China. So tensions escalate. The world watches closely. The next move by Russia and NATO could determine the future of European security and global peace. Something will happen, if you ask my opinion. But go ahead, let me know in the comments. Let me also know what you thought of the video, and if you like the video, please subscribe and like. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one.